My brother is a rash battle. You are going to take on. I'm there by your side. I give you 100% support. But just remember, as you take on the journey and the battle, yeah. The Bible said the wheat and the tares have to grow together till the day of harvest. That means that good, evil and good have to continue reign until Father God come upon the day of death. When they go burn the devil and burn up this with fire and make a new earth. And you get to me, I say, when the G forward in them time, so until them time they come, brother, I go tell you this. We are do this, we're morally, spiritually, mentally strong and capable. We have to go seek God's intervention more than ever, because trust me, each and every one is sitting in that group here. Listen to me and trust me when I'm telling you this. You see, when time that thing kick off, we don't just look for the devil come at us with everything that he has. Look for him send the best of his demons them to come and try to break up this. So we have to seek God reverence fervently.
A lot of us have a story to tell, and you know, some people don't like to talk about it, while others don't mind speaking about it. You know, because it's therapy when you talk about it. But some people just don't want to go there because it hurts so much. You know, and yeah, you know, especially um like the man them, like they will have experiences, and you know, they're some people are afraid of talking about it in case they are judged, you know. But um everyone has a reason. There are reasons why they would talk and why.
I used to film a blood clot. My one papa with dead blood clot in a 21. Me that, because a man known to blood clot. Certain bomber clot song with me here about thank you mama for the 9 months you carry me. I want, fuck me, oh man. I was never abused sexually or molested sexually, but me that kill them blood clot. You understand me? I tell you, all know them dead already, but me that kill them a second blood clot time. You understand? And you see that mama that way you have and a blood clot man there, me that help you kill them bomber clot right fucking now. You hear me?
Good morning to our family. Hello, my name is Fire. I was born 1984. I am currently 38 years old, will be 39 in July. I was born in a small district in St. Anne's, a beautiful district in the countryside. My mother left me and my brother with our grandparents. My brother was 1 year old and I was a couple of months, not sure. She left for the UK and left us in the care of our grandparents. I had a happy life growing up with my grandparents and my aunts and uncles, who I took for my brothers and sisters. I took my grandparents for my parents because I did not know my real parents, because my parents left me as a child, as a baby, I should say. Um, as far as I could remember, my grandmother always took people into her home and look after them. She always took children, adults, whosoever needed help, she would take them into her home. My earliest memory of my mother was once she sent a photograph to my grandmother in Jamaica, and my grandmother showed me her picture. And I looked at the picture and I said, "Who is that?" my grandmother said to me, "Oh, that's your mom." I said to my grandmother, "No, she's not. You're my mother." I can remember it clearly. I was about 4 years old. I said, "But she could never be my mother. That is a white woman." Mind you, my grandmother is a white woman, but I never saw color because I was used to her for throughout my life. I've been used to seeing her on a daily. So I never saw color, you know. I never saw her as being different from my complexion. I never knew what color was. I never knew what colorism was. I never knew what racism was. Um, anyway, fast forward, my grandmother always taking in people into the home, and there was a lady by the name of Miss A who had 7 children. She used to work in the markets in Kingston. So she used to um, buy ground provisions and bring it to Kingston to sell it. She would spend a week there. She would come back and bring money for the children that my grandmother was looking after because she left the children on my grandma. My earliest memory of being abused was at the age of 5 years old by the son of Miss A, who went by the name of T Bush. Her son went by the name of T Bush. And I remember every time my grandmother wasn't in the home, because my grandmother, she would go to her farm. She and my grandfather would go to their farm because we have a lot of land in Jamaica. And we come from a farming family, so they were always on the farm. And the house was filled with full of children. Um, we were left with our aunts and uncles to look after while they were on the farm. Um, T. Bush would wait for everyone to leave the house, they're outside playing, and he would see his chance to attack, where he would put his finger on my private parts and molest me. I can remember the feeling up to this day. It's a burning sensation. It used to burn, I will never forget that feeling. So that abuse went on throughout the 5 years old period. And now, as an adult, I believe that it was going on earlier before I was 5, but that is where my memory starts. I don't know if as an adult I blocked it out. Yeah, I think I blocked out um, earlier memories of being abused, but I think that it started way before I was 5 years old because um, those people were always in the home. Now, that boy, he was 17 years old. I remember him being 17. Anyway, it went on throughout the 5 year period where he was walking. And I remember going through this and always wishing that he would die. I always prayed to God to kill him. I always prayed to God to get rid of him out of my life as young as I was. Fast forward, he now started to travel to Kingston on the country bus to go to town with his mom to sell the grung provisions that she would sell at the market. Um, one Saturday, he took the trip with his mother, and the bus crashed. He was sitting on the roof of the bus, and the bus crashed. It fell over a gully. The bus fell onto him, and he survived. But it is when I got older that the story was told to me of what happened to him. Because being that age, you know, um, I wouldn't really know much about that. But as I got older, the story was told to me as to what happened to him. I remember him coming back to the house a couple months after, and I remember him being in a wheelchair. And I'm saying this to say that when I was being abused by him while he could walk, I don't ever remember him walking. The memories I have of him is being in a wheelchair, but I do remember that he abused me throughout that period, but I can't remember him walking. I just remember him being in a wheelchair, right? So anyway, he came back to us. I know it sounds confusing, but I'm going off of memory. Came back to us in a wheelchair. Anyway, the abuse started again. I remember the first time when it happened, when he was in the wheelchair. There was a fire in the district is called Grants Mountain. In the area that I come from, there was a fire where there was a bar and people lived on top of the bar. And those people were burnt out. All of them died in that fire. The whole family died. And I remember my grandparents and my aunts and uncles went to Grants Mountain in the middle of the night, because everyone was trying to put out this fire, but everyone ended up died in that fire. And I remember sitting around the table because they left us eating. And I remember him taking a broomstick and he was putting the broomstick under the table and putting the broomstick on my private parts while everyone sat at the table, not having any idea of what was going on. I remember it being very painful. I remember it being very embarrassing. I was embarrassed. I started to cry. Everyone's asking me why I'm crying. I couldn't say why I was crying because, being a child, you think you're doing something wrong and you might get beaten for it. So this is why I told no one, because I thought that, I was going to get beaten. I'm in trouble. Anyway, that happened. The abuse continued. Every time my grandparents or anyone ain't in the home, there he was. He would corner me in the room. He would put the wheelchair in front of the door. If I was in a room, he would come in there, lock the door, and put the wheelchair in front of the door so I couldn't move. He would call me over and he would do what he's doing. I remember one day, it was during a holiday period. I remember being in my aunt's room and everyone was outside playing and he came in there and he locked the door. But there's a door to the veranda and that door was wide open. Now, I live in a community where the kids would just play. They would be all over just playing, right? So the house was very quiet and I remember him calling me over and he was putting his fingers on my private parts again and that burning sensation, and I was crying and I remember my aunt, that is my youngest aunt, came in the yard and she stood at the veranda grill and she was staring and she saw everything that was going on. And I turned around and I saw my aunt's face and my aunt was crying. And that's when he let me go out of the room and I ran to my aunt crying. And my aunt, she's a couple years older than me, you know. We grew up as sisters, you know. We never knew any better to tell anyone, you know. We thought that we would get in trouble for this. So we kept it. Anyway, it continued and it continued. My aunt would try to keep as much as possible close to me. She would try to keep an eye on me, but it's not all the time she could. The abuse continued, you know, until the age of 6. And I remember getting a letter again from my mom in England. And she told my grandmother, go and look about our papers, our passports, you know. I remember taking the long drive to Kingston to look about our passports. Anyway, we got through. My mom said it's time to come to England. She took us to England, me and my brother. I felt free from that abuse. I thought, yes, this is it. I got away. This is it, you know. Anyway, I reached England. I realized that we landed in England. We landed in Heathrow Airport, right? And I remember seeing this white woman and this black man. And the air hostess said to us, oh, that's your mom. And I ran. They were pushing us, that they put the suitcase on the trolley and they put us on the trolley to sit. And I ran. I jumped off the suitcase and I'm trying to run back towards where the plane was, you know, saying, that's not my mom, that's a white woman. I don't know this woman. Bring me back. I'm going to start for ball for mama. Because that's what I call my grandmother, mama. But mama did trick us. Mama said that she will be on the plane. Don't worry, you know. And I believed her because that's the only way she could get us to go. Because in Jamaica, I turned around and I didn't see my grandmother following us. So I ran back to the gate. And my grandma was there crying. And I'm like, come on, what do you mean you're not coming? And she was like, I'll be on the plane. Don't worry. It's not my time to get on yet. Anyway, reach at England now. They handed us to my mom and her boyfriend. I remember going to the house and I was just crying. I was crying for my grandmother, my mother, because my grandmother is my mother. I was crying for her, crying for her. No one could control me. I just lashed out and okay, my mom would cook. I wouldn't eat it because my grandmother brought us up in a home where she tells us, do not eat from people. Do not eat from strangers. So I never ate her food. I never drank anything she gave us. She tried to force me to eat her food. I would vomit because mama told me not to eat from strangers. Mind you, my grandmother, when we left Jamaica, she did cook and, you know, she did cook and she did make drops and she did get like bags of cheese chips, bags of snacks, you know, for us to bring over. And that was what I was surviving on. Snacks and cheese chips and drops and, you know, blue jars and potato pudding, all of them something there she made for us. So that's what I was eating because I'm a grandmother make that. Anyway, we moved to that house and a couple weeks after we got to England, because at the time, you know, my mom, she went through her struggles in England, right? Where the family over here treated her real badly on her arrival. She was treated very badly, you know. They tricked her into buying a house. She bought the house. She never knew much about mortgages, and she never knew much about anything in this country. They just tricked her. And she was a very hard worker, so she would save her money. So she bought the house. She moved in her cousins. Um, they're the one who tricked her out of the house and put her out her own house, while they stayed and paid the mortgage, because she put their name on. She also put their names on this house that she bought. So they knew what they were doing. They tricked her, run her out the house. Anyway, she went in and rent a room. So when we came to England, that's where we were, in this one bedroom. Anyway, couple months being in England, sorry, couple weeks in England, she went to the council and she got into a hostel. One room with kitchen, and you have to share a bathroom with whosoever else are in the hostel. And my mom got us into a primary school, Loughborough Juniors Primary School in Brixton. The first day she left to go to work, she told her boyfriend to wake us up. I remember being woken up with a wooden bottom Clark's slippers being pounded on my skin, something I was never used to, because my grandparents never ever put their hands on us, never beat us, because they had no reason to. We were brought up with respect, with morals, you understand? So they had no reason to do that. So this was new for me and my brother. My grandmother never made me and my brother had a bath together or anything. We always bath separately. Now this guy beat us and told us to go into the bathroom. He said a cold bath of water. He told me and my brother to get into the cold bath of water early morning, freezing weather. And while in this bath of water, we are sobbing our eyes out. And this guy came in the bathroom and he beat us in that tub of water. Anyway, I reached England. I realized that we landed in England. We landed in Heathrow Airport, right? And I remember seeing this white woman and this black man. And the air hostess said to us, "Oh, that's your mom." And I ran. They were pushing us, that they put the suitcase on the trolley and they put us on the trolley to sit. And I ran. I jumped off the suitcase and I'm trying to run back towards where the plane was, saying, "That's not my mom. That's a white woman. I don't know this woman. Bring me back." I'm start for ball for mama, because that's what I call my grandmother, mama. But mama did trick us. Mama said that she will be on the plane. Don't worry. And I believed her, because that's the only way she could get us to go. Because in Jamaica, I turned around and I didn't see my grandmother following us. So I ran back to the gate. And my grandma was there crying. And I'm like, "Come on, what do you mean you're not coming?" And she was like, "I'll be on the plane. Don't worry. It's not my time to get on yet." Anyway, reach at England now. They handed us to my mom and her boyfriend. I remember going to the house and I was just crying. I was crying for my grandmother, my mother, because my grandmother is my mother. I was crying for her, crying for her. No one could control me. I just lashed out, and okay, my mom would cook. I wouldn't eat it, because my grandmother brought us up in a home where she tells us, "Do not eat from people. Do not eat from strangers." So I never ate her food. I never drank anything she gave us. She tried to force me to eat her food. I would vomit, because mama told me not to eat from strangers. Mind you, my grandmother, when we left Jamaica, she did cook, and, she did cook, and she did make drops, and she did get like bags of cheese chips, bags of snacks, for us to bring over. And that was what I was surviving on: snacks and cheese chips and drops and blue jars and potato pudding, all of them something there she made for us. So that's what I was eating, because I'm a grandmother make that. Anyway, we moved to that house, and a couple weeks after we got to England, because at the time, my mom, she went through her struggles in England, right, where the family over here treated her real badly on her arrival. She was treated very badly. They tricked her into buying a house. Um, she bought the house. Um, she never knew much about mortgages, and she never knew much about anything in this country. They just tricked her, and she was a very hard worker, so she would save her money. So she bought the house. She moved in her cousins. Um, they're the one who tricked her out of the house and put her out her own house, while they stayed and paid the mortgage, because she also put their names on this house that she bought. So they knew what they were doing. They tricked her, run her out the house. Anyway, she went in and rent a room. So when we came to England, that's where we were, in this one bedroom. Anyway, couple months being in England, sorry, couple weeks in England, she went to the council and she got into a hostel, one room with kitchen, and you have to share a bathroom with whosoever else are in the hostel. And my mom got us into a primary school, Loughborough Juniors Primary School in Brixton. The first day she left to go to work, she told her boyfriend to wake us up. I remember being woken up with a wooden bottom Clark's slippers being pounded on my skin, something I was never used to, because my grandparents never ever put their hands on us, never beat us, because they had no reason to. We were brought up with respect, with morals, you understand? So they had no reason to do that. So this was new for me and my brother. Um, my grandmother never made me and my brother had a bath together or anything. We always bath separately. Now this guy beat us and told us to go into the bathroom. He said to a cold bath of water. He told me and my brother to get into the cold bath of water early morning, freezing weather. And while in this bath of water, we are sobbing our eyes out. And this guy came in the bathroom and he beat us in that tub of water. Anyway, that went on, and I never told my mother. Anyway, the abuse went on from her boyfriend without her knowledge, so she claims. We were in that hostel in New Cross Gate for about a couple months until the council moved us to Bellingham into a 3-bedroom house. My mom would go to work. She works in the medical field, so it's long shifts that she's doing. While he would go to work, but then he would come home early, like 5 o'clock, 4 or 5 o'clock. Yeah, so he would be there when we're at home. And the abuse continued. The beatings continued. We were now slaves. We weren't allowed to go out and play with the children in the community. We would be locked in the house. We were told to clean the house. If we ate, we better make sure not even one rice grain don't drop on the floor, because that's a beating. And I'm talking about beating with anything he can see in his sight. Also with his fist. 6 years old and a 7-year old turned into slaves in England. Anyway, I remember the first time my mom witnessed this beating from this guy. And I remember my mother standing there and just watching as this guy beat us, abused us. And she did nothing. And when that happened, I began to grow a hatred for my mother. Although I never took her as a mother, I should say I began to grow a hatred for that woman, because I can just remember my grandmother would never do this. My grandmother loved us. Like, she would never. you know. And throughout the years, going on to the age of 15, all the abuse just continued. It just continued, and she would witness it. I remember one time, we weren't even allowed to watch TV. So the living room door would be locked with a key, but you could watch the TV from the kitchen because there was a cutout in the wall, like an island. So yeah, like a open space in the wall that goes. You could see through to the living room. So when they're not there, we would sit down in the kitchen around the table and turn on the TV. And I remember one evening they came in, and it's like my brother saw the car lights and he took off up the stairs and ran. I never knew, I never realized, I never heard the door open. I was just sitting there watching the TV. And I remember him coming in and he grabbed me and he was just pounding me with his fist. He was pounding me in my head, you know, to the point where, say, you ever hear that saying where they say, um, somebody get beaten till them turn fool? Yeah, that's what happened to me that night. I was beaten till me turn a fool with his fist while my mom stood at the kitchen door with her hands folded, watching me. Anyway, me turn fool and me turn tid and me a bleed and me a stagger and me go up the stairs and me go in the bathroom and I lock the door. And that's when my mom realized something wrong. So she came up the stairs and she shouting at him and calling him to come and kick off the door because something now wrong with her daughter. This is the point where I think that she knew that she would be in trouble if I was to die. Because obviously she never cared what he was doing when he was doing it. But now she saw the severity of his actions. She now wants to act like she cared. So anyway, them kick off the bathroom door. I'm bleeding all over my nose, through my ears. My eyes are busted, face is busted, body is bruised. Me tunted, me can't even talk. I'm in the bathroom talking gibberish. Um, and I can remember her saying to him, she's gonna die, she's gonna die. We have to bring her to the hospital. And I remember him saying no. I remember him going into his room and he packed a bag. He was trying to run. And she's saying, we need to call the ambulance. And he's saying no. And I can remember that is the first time I ever received a hug from my mother. And I think that hug came out of her being scared that I was gonna die that night. But anyway, she hugged me up, she picked me up, she brought me into my room, she tried to clean me up as best as she could. Um, she put me in my bed, and the ambulance was never called. I did not go to school for at least a month because I had to heal so that the school system or people outside would not see the bruises, so they won't question me, so them not gonna get in a trouble. Okay, so reach the age of 15 now. Mind you, I was a brilliant child in school. Brilliant, brilliant child. In all the top classes. In all the top classes. Getting brilliant grades in school. My mother never showed any interest in my schooling. I know that she was busy working all the time, to help the family back home and to pay the bills and make sure say there's food on the table. But it's like she was never interested in my schooling. She never once went to a parents' evening, never once, showed up at the school, nothing. Anyway, I was in all the top classes. I found out that I was very good at basketball. I joined the basketball team. I was very good at running. I joined the athletic team. I was good at most sports. Um, I started to do training at Linford Christie Stadium every evening. So every evening I was late home. And because my mother showed no love, she showed no interest, and I was this abused child, I didn't know how to speak to these so-called parents I had, So I was late home every evening from school. And they had it in their heads that I was a bad child. I was probably on the road up to no good, following friends. But I never had that relationship with them where I could say, okay, this is what I'm doing, mom. I'm training at Linford Christie Stadium with this PE teacher, Mr. Knight. I'm on the athletic team. I'm on the team for Southwark. you know. I was running. I was in year. Let me see. Oh God, I can't even remember right now. But I was running for Southwark. I was running against some older girls than myself, like 2, 3, 4 years older than me. And I was winning races. I was winning trophies. I was very good. That's why they put me on the Southwark team. And every evening I went home late, I was beaten. And because I never had that relationship, I couldn't really tell them, what I was doing because I did afraid so them I gonna tell me so I can't do it. If it's a basketball match, I was at basketball match. Because I was one of the tallest in my year. So yeah, and I was very good at basketball too. Anyway, they thought I was this bad child. They never once saw the gold certificates, all the certificates I was bringing home. I still have them up to this day. I have like 2 folders full, like all my artwork. Actually the other day, I was searching for something in my mom's house and I found back my folder of art that I used to do as a child. I was very good, very extremely good at art, extremely good at drawing. I still am. Very good at painting. Everything I put my hand to, it turned to gold. But they thought I was this bad child because that's what the guy, her boyfriend, told her. She's coming in late from school, so she must be up to no good. Anyway, my mom worked and saved enough money so now she can get out of the council system in England. She went and bought her own house in Bromley, Kent. So now we have now moved from the council house into my mom's home in Kent, where there the abuse continued. I was still showing up from school late. I was still getting beaten. So he decided to punish me. We're going to move you from that school. We're now going to put you in Catford Girls School. This is a school for all girls. One bad blood clot school right next to the house. Okay. Anyway, they stopped me from going to school. For 1 year straight, I was locked in my bedroom. I had to eat in my bedroom. The only time I was allowed to leave my bedroom was to go for a shower or to use the bathroom. Right? For 1 year. I remember being locked in that bedroom, and I remembered every evening that man came home and he would beat me. I was full of bruises. I wasn't allowed to speak to my brother. I wasn't allowed to come out of my room, none at all. I wasn't allowed to watch TV. I was just locked in my room by myself. Anyway, I remember one day I was just there thinking about my grandparents, and thinking about my life back home, and how nice it was, and just wishing that I was back home and just, wishing that my grandmother was with me, um, because I was my grandmother fractal. I was her shadow. I was her baby. And I remember sitting in my room and I got a pen and a paper and I wrote a suicide note. I remember taking a bottle of pills from the bathroom cupboard, and the pills were right next to me. And I wrote a suicide note, and I wrote it to my grandmother because I knew she was the only one who cared about me and my granddad. And I remember opening the bottle of pills and laying them on the bed. And I'm on my knees next to my bed and I'm crying and I'm writing the letter. And I don't know if a God send her in my room, I talk about my birth mother. I remember the door being unlocked with the key, and she came in, and she saw the pills, and she got so upset, and she grabbed the pills, and she took the letter, and she's reading the letter, and she's asking me, what am I doing? And I'm telling her, like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, if I can't be with my grandma, I don't want to be here anymore, you know? And I was very serious. I didn't feel like living anymore. What was the purpose of living, you know? Going through all this abuse and emotional abuse, like physical abuse, you know? Um, I just never wanted to be here. And she took up the pills, she took the letter, and she went to her room and she locked back the door with the key. Anyway, reach a Catford girls now. I remember the BBC come then on. You know, the head teacher find out say I was very good at art, and the BBC come there and the BBC say them I look for your child for design the logo for the BBC. And the head teacher called me in the office and hand me a letter and say, look, carry this to your parents, you know, make them sign it up. Cause them talk to me, you know, and say, look, we want you to design the logo for the BBC, but in order for you to do it, the parents have to sign it. Anyway, me carry home the letter, tell her my mother what happened, and her husband did it, and him grab the letter and tear it up and say, no, me can't do it. I had to go back to school. The teacher asked what happened, where's the letter? Me explained to her, so them said, no, I'm not allowed. The teacher was very disappointed, so was I, but me got through. Anyway, me joined the volleyball team now. Me there in a Catford Girls High School. So me still I come home late because me join volleyball team. You get me? I would do anything to stay active in school. Because I know say when me come home I want different thing. I go on in the home. So I would try to spend as much time out of the home. So I would come home late and same thing. Me never want to tell them what I go on. Because them are going to tell me no, me can't do it. Anyway, I come home late one evening, man, and them lock me out of the house, you know. And me have to sleep outside, you know. Me I ring the bell and my mother stand up by the window and look down upon me. I can't open the door and, you know. And mind you, you know, him have a son, you know, and the son used to come and spend weekend, you know. And that son could have tell we to go fuck off. That son they can't tell we anything. You get me? No clothes, no shoes, no buy for we, you know. No, as you see we, you know, see how we that they come in now. One pair of blood clot jeans. Me have the blue. And my brother have my brother have the blue and me have the yellow. And two white t-shirt and two Reebok Classic. That was for we uniform. When we not in a school. You could have tell when we come. And the one suit of clothes we have, them me have to laugh about it now. Because right now, you know. Right now, I don't know if I make me love clothes and things. Something there, you know. Hey. But yeah man, when that the boy they come at the house, man, bicycle, toys and clothes and shoes, we kill him and go home with man. Yeah, so it said. You know, anyway, me sleep outside and me notice more frequently now, him a lock we outside. Him a lock we outside. One point my brother had to sleep in the shed in the garden. Anyway, I remember coming home from school one evening and I come home and my mother in my brother room I cry. And me hear the bawling and me go in my brother room and me say, Mommy, why you crying? And she not answer me. So me open fear room door and me see him in there on the bed. And him a huff and a puff and me say, why is my mother crying? And him get up and him grab me and me I tell you say him use me little body and sweep the fucking house. Me I talk from upstairs, downstairs, all over, in a bathroom, everywhere. Mash up with me little body. And the neighbor them here, it was an African man and his wife and his three daughters will live next door. And them here were gone. And then call the police. And police come, man. Me I go too fast, not true. He mash me up and my brother come in. Remember my brother come in the evening. And when my brother come in and grab him off of me, you know, because him have me down on the bed and thump me up, you know, man. And my brother grab him off of me, you know. And I remember me run down the stairs and go into the kitchen and grab a knife, you know. And me run, come back up the stairs. And when me come back up, me see him have down my brother, thump him up. And me stand up over him with the knife. And as me swing, so he stop the blood clot, man. And my mother, that back of me, take out the knife out of my hand. Because I would have surely dead that night there, you know. Yeah, man, me did make up my mind to kill him that night there. But it never happened. Yo. Anyway, the neighbor called the police because them hear what go on and police come. A man lock off the light and go lock up in a bedroom. When the police come, me a bleed, me mash up, me a bleed, me full of bruises all over. And my mother stand up in front of the police and say, and me do it to myself. And the neighbor them a say a lie. No God so a lie. We heard everything. You guys are always beating these children. You treat them so bad. It's time that it stop. The woman tell the police, yeah, me do it to myself. You know, say, police, them racist, they don't give a shit about no black pitney. So my neighbor, them say, all right, we're going to take her from you. We will take her. And my neighbor took me into his house, him and his wife. This was late at night now. So the wife, I'm sitting in the living room and I thought that was it. It was over. I'm sitting in the living room sofa and the man did they talk to me. And the wife and the daughter them gone at them bed. And the man taking and I push between my legs and me I say, no, stop, no, cause me did they cry, me in a pain, me a bleed all over, you know. And I'm just sitting there thinking, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? Anyway, me I get louder and louder and him catch him afraid because I'm thinking wife I go wake up so and show me which room to go sleep in. And I never slept a wink. He give me one and daughter room, me never sleep a wink that night then me run away. You know, in the morning, before daylight, me run out of the house and me go find my grandaunt in a Camberwell. Anyway, my grandaunt bring me back to the house and talk to them and them take me back in and this went on for a couple of weeks and me did it and one evening the man take out a piece of board and lick me down with it. The man give me some raw slick cross me back with that board and run me way out of the house, you know, man. And that's now me say, you know, me not go back nowhere, you know, me not go to my family them because them go carry me back go there, you know. So right there, so now, you know, me start sleep on road, on bus stop. You get me? In a hospital waiting room. A thief milk off of people doorstep. Because then time that the milk float used to go around in England, you know. And they used to left juice, orange juice and milk on the doorstep. And they used to leave bread at the shop door them. Me thief them there and eat that time. Girl, maga, you want to me like maga, like dog, yo. Clothes a drop off of me. I safety pin me I use all up my clothes, you know. And me did a butter around, you know, and a butter around, you know, man. Sometimes when I'm hungry all the daytime, you know, man, me just go lick down so, you know, them parking machine there. So there was this car parking at Tesco's in Catford and the Milford Towers, and it had these machines where you had to put the pound coins in to park your car. And me used to go in there, go lick it down like and take out the pound coin them and go buy food. Or me go in at the shop, them go thief out some food just to survive, you know. Anyway, me did it. I jing bang around, I sleep on people floor, all the on my friend them floor, on my friend them sofa, all over the place, you get me. So me did it per road, the amount of time me nearly get raped per road, car run me down cause a young girl on her own late at night on the road, you know, man. Anyway, some social worker get involved and them put me in a one bed and breakfast in a black heat. And my mother hunt me down and she find me one day. And me and my best friend from school did it because my best friend said she not left me go nowhere, you know. Because she want to make sure me alright. And she did it a bing bang with me, you know. She never have to because she had her home. But she was there with me and my mother showed up and my mother said to me, say, if you come of the house, come apologize and beg if you come back. If you come beg the man if you come back. So she live in a Kent. And Me there block it. Me not no money, you know. So you know say, I walk, me have to walk, you know, from Blackheath, through Lewisham, through Catford, through Bromley, for reach a Kent. Hey God. Yo, when me start walking, man, I must see 2 o'clock in the morning me reach my mother house, you know. And me come there and me do what she say. Cause me did a suffer upon road, you know. Me not tell you no lie now. Whole heap of times me nearly get raped, you know. Me a talk about man. Me all a try trick a man to get some food, you know, man. And a man drive with me in a blood clot park for rape me, you know. Me I tell you, say when God good to you, you see God. Hey, girl. Hey, girl. God love you, you know, girl. Yo, listen. Man drive with me in the park, you know. And the police, that back of the man, you know, it's like a God send the police them, you know. Because him not supposed to be there driving at the park there. A God send the police them, this are in a Broccoli. Yeah? And the police drive him down in the park. And when he slow down, me I tell him open the door, cause at that point he lock up door, you know. So you know, say right there, so me now come out of no car. And me I say, open the door. And he slow down and he open the door. When he slow down and open the door, me jump out of the car. And the police go so after him and me I run your fret. Hey, from that, I never ever try that shit again. But me I try that to feed myself. You get me? Anyway, me walk come at the house, cause me a stray, you know. Me walk come at the house now, you know, and me a beg him man say, please let me come back home, you know. Things rough on the road and, you know, me not supposed to go through them something as a young girl, you know. Me not do nothing wrong, like, I'm a good child, like. I'm a good achiever in school. This is what I was doing in school. This is when everything is coming out now. You know, I run for Southwark. I'm on the Southwark athletics team. You know, and to stop me from doing that and move school. Now I'm on the volleyball team for girls. Like, I want to stop me from doing that. I was going to church. You know, I was in the choir. Them sister me can't rap. Me and the pastor daughter, she a singer and me a rapper. Yeah, so there was competitions going on all over London where the pastor used to carry and we used to go there go win these fucking competitions, yeah. Until because the pastor brother is a music producer, you know. And I remember the music producer telling him to carry me and his daughter come at his office because he want to sign we to a record label and in care we go there, you know. And the pastor say, me have to go ask her parents' permission. And he come back with we and he sit them down and he talk to them and he tell them like this can bring her very far. I would love to see the two of them do this. It would be a great accomplishment. The man said no. Blood clot, you know, see I hit that. So I've had all these opportunities throughout life, but it's like he was the devil and he made sure that I never achieved any of those things. You know, and anyway, him tell me no, me can't come back in the house. Me fi take me this and that cloth all time house, man. You are my mother house. My mother at the time, she just buy a Grand Vitara Jeep. She had a Fiat. She had a next car, one Ford car. About 4 car them have park up outside. And this was about 3:30 in the morning now. And mother watch me walk out her house at that time. And I had to walk all the way back to Blackheath. I don't even want to tell you how far that shit is. But me walk back and from there so, me promise myself say, me not gonna be a failure. Yeah? I'ma fight this by myself. I gonna go through life by myself. And I don't need nobody. You get me? Nobody at all. Because of the things that I've been through and me survived that shit. I made a promise to myself at the age of 15 years old that I'm a fucking survivor and not a mama blood clot. Now gonna put me down. You understand? So I've grown up to put up a hard exterior on the outside, but really and truly on the inside, hey God, y'all soft like a what? But you get me? Still hard, still a thugs, you get me? Anyway, Friend now turn stripper and friend I say, yo, Fire, come here, you goddess, so goddess. So she never one day yet say, Fire, come be a stripper. I could have gone down that lane, but I chose not to. So me meet one her bad auntie. Me I follow her all over the place, cause she afraid, she a strip, and she no want nothing, no man fi, follow her woman and something there. So I would go to the strip club and sit there and till she finish, me and her jump in a one taxi and go home. Meet the bad auntie now, and the bad auntie come to me and say, yo, Missy say you can't eat nothing, but what she never know say, I know eat me can't eat enough. I hungry me did hungry. You get me? So when me see the food, me I go eat the food. And me I eat it quick and fast because me don't know when me I go get another plate. It wasn't craving or eat enough. I was hungry. So me explain to her, say I not eat, me can't eat enough, me hungry. And me explain to her my situation, what's going on. She say, all right, no problem. She said, me I gonna do something for you. You have your passport? Me say, it's at my mom's house. She said, go and get your passport. Me say, all right. Me go to my mother's house. Me know say, them not gonna let me in their house. So me watch them leave for work. And me go there. And me use a blood clot. Me climb over the backyard. And me use a blood clot brick, you see. And a double glazing, And I lick out the fuck out of the window there. And there's a key where open the window them. So me push me hand in there and turn the key and open the window, climb in at that. My mother always lock her room door with a key. So me go upstairs and kick off that fuck. Me know exactly where my passport and birth paper and everything there. And me go for it. My mother is a bank of a partner. Me go for the money too. Take away every blood clot penny. You get me? Cause right now a survival mood me in, And that's what me there now. Me have to survive. Anyway, go back to the bad auntie now. See me say, look, me have everything. Say, all right. She make a link. Cause she have her link them. She say, all right. And this you go do. Make the link, the man say, all right then, see what money, I go buy up some clothes, go buy up some suitcase, you get me? You go to Jamaica. Me say, bumbo clot, yes, me I go to Jamaica. I wonder if me can run now and go back to my grandparents. But on realizing the seriousness of what I'm going to Jamaica to do, there's no way me could have met them people and know where my people them live. Anyway, me go to Jamaica and me do what me have to do in a Jamaica. While I was there, I was taken very well care of. Yeah. They made sure I was all right. I was eating. I was safe. Even though I was on a bad blood, the baddest bumbleclot road. Yeah. I was on the baddest road where bullet a fly over my bumbleclot head while I lay down in a bed in a one. Listen. Yeah? All right. Me did them me asleep, guns underneath my fucking pillow, bro. Everywhere me looking at the house, I be a bomber clock gun me they see. At the age of 15 years old, in survival mode. Anyway, me do what me have to do. And me come back to England. And I did that and continue to do that and make my money. And at the time, they did run out my brother out of the house and me go find my brother and me say, yo, use this and go to university. Use this and go to college. You get me? And my brother asked me, Fire, where you get the money from? Me say, can't tell them the truth. You get me? And me did it so till me bring in one girl. And the girl try to rob him and them and man gun butt we up and threaten to kill off the whole of our family until she come to her senses and talk the truth, where man things there, cause she set up the thing, where her boyfriend come and take out the things them and, man ready to kill we right there so. Anyway, him get back in things them, boy send white girl with the things them and him get back in things them. And then say, Fire, say me I go pay you the whole of fear money and fear money. It's up to you if you want to give her fear money. Him pay me not pay her, me run her away, pay her wish part. And from that day, I never do that shit again. And I promise myself, say, listen to me. I'm gonna always hold up my head, and I will make nobody take advantage of me. I will never make anybody have the opportunity to run me out of their house ever in life again. Yeah? And that's where I fell in love with houses, you know? Love house. So me start make house. Just to see the outcome of it. I would build something. There, you know, fell in love with someone in the music industry, you know. Um, him do film thing and badness and I feel left the country. Um, I had my son. Had my son at the age of 1 year old and come back in the country. And I try mend things, but things don't get fuck already. You get me? Anyway, I did that with my son. A bing bang, got through. Get me? Um, for the time that he was here, he was looking after him, you know. Anyway, I did fall out of love with that. That was my first true love. I loved, I adored that man. That was my heartbeat. Like that was my soul. Like that man, like, oh God. Anyway, get pregnant, get pregnant again with the second child, and you know, he left the country, and me say, all right, then no problem. I gonna move on. Anyway, did I with me two son them. Him gone. Me say, all right, let me just forget that because that not gonna go nowhere because of the same thing him a gonna do. Him a gonna come back and him a gonna do the same fucking thing and leave and whatever. Him in a music world and fuck that shit. Anyway, me there by myself 4 years by myself. Find somebody else. This is my um daughter's father, you know, him come in, he showed me love, me fall in love, like I'm easy to fall in fucking love. Yeah. Easy to fall in a blood clot love. Hey. Fall in love with him and you know everything I go on good until you know him true colors start for sure. You know, I thought I was the only one and that time man have 20 women a road, you get me? Pregnant with my daughter, man not even not touch me. But man, I sleep out the road with other girl, man catch STI. Thank God I never slept with him. And that me tell him, thank you, you protected me, my child, thank you. Anyway, when it's time for him to go now, man, do I have to do throw guineas over my head and, you know, mash up my things them in my house. You know, run me down with a knife, stab me in my belly with my daughter in my belly, you know, and the neighbor called the police and he cut him on himself and flash it all over the house and tell the police I did that. I was locked up in the station for 2 days until my family tell him to go tell the truth. You get me? So comes me come out of that the relationship. But it's like I'm telling my story because it's therapeutic to me when I can sit and talk my story and nobody not to guess and nobody not to make up a lie about me, understand? I like to talk my own truth. Yeah? So that's the life I experienced. And me left that boy there 7 years ago and I've been on my own ever since. I am afraid. I do not trust people at all. Me not trust nobody at all. Um I like being on my own. I don't go out there and look for love. I don't go out there and look for man. I like to be on my own, you know, because, all right, the energy I feel right, you know, I have to feel the person, you know, and before me get involved, you know, I mean, I'm in England. I've got a lot of, you know, people who tried to talk to me, but my headspace was not there. My headspace was not there. So I just stay by myself, you know. I tend to stay away from my family in the UK. I do speak to them, but me not really up in them like that. Me not really up in my mother like that, you know. Um, what I went through with her as a child, it's never, we, I tried to speak to her about it, but it's like she doesn't want to hear it because she don't like the truth, you know. The truth hurts, you know. And sometimes when we tell her some things, it's like she says she don't remember that. When did that happen? But anyway, I forget about that. I tend to stay away from them, you know. I go around them when I choose, not when them tell me to. Um, and I just this is just me. This is me. That was my story, my experience. Um, Sometimes my head get hot. Uh, that's the way I show my emotions. My head will get hot. I'm a cuss like a dog shit. Or you have the softer side of me where I just show you pure love, you know, pure love from the heart. And then you have the other side where just jovial and fun and, you know, yeah. But yeah, that's my story. Big up on yourself. And now, as an adult, thinking of what I went through in the hands of my mother and her boyfriend, mind you, you know, she never laid a finger on me. It was the boyfriend turned husband who did all these abuse, you know, but she stood and she watched as a mother and did nothing about it, you know. And thinking about it now that I am an adult, she left us as babies, you know. So I'm thinking that she never really had a connection with her children because she left us as babies, as such young children, you know. She never had the time to form that connection with us, you know. Um, where my grandmother did. My grandmother had that connection with us. But she leaving us, she don't have no connection whatsoever. So it's like she don't have no feeling. She don't really know how to love we, you know, because she was never there. I understand that she left and she come to England, so she was never there in our life, you know. So we coming to England now, she don't really know how for sure we love because she don't have that connection there with our children. And throughout the years, right, throughout the nearly how much years now, 20 odd years now of being in this country, I've never seen a mother and daughter connection, you know. She tried to make a connection with my brother, you know, but I really she buy him, you know. Yeah, she used her money for show her love towards my brother, you know, and him just turned out to be something that is not very nice. Yeah, me not gonna pretty up nothing. My brother turned out to be the worst son anybody could want. Understand? But she tried to buy his affection, but it backfired because he's grown up to be a spoiled child and now he's an adult still acting like a spoiled child. But I just see that as a way of buying his affection, you know. Yeah, but with me, like, me don't know. Sometimes I sit down and me question it. Is it because me did run away from her at the airport and they say she's not my mother? Is it because me never eat her food? Why, like, she treat me so, you know? Me always question why my mother treat me so, like, why she hate me, like. Because that in my head, you know, say she hate me. And when I go to her and I say, you hate me, like, what me do to you? You hate me. And she will tell me, say, no, I don't hate you, I love you. But the thing is with that, yeah, is that she don't know how to show her children them love because she never brought them up. You understand? She never brought them up. She don't have that bond with us. So it's hard for her to show us love. Like how I'm bringing up my kids them, I'm a bond with them from them a baby, you know. All the time I tell them, so I love them, I kiss them up, I show them love and affection all the time, you understand? So them know, and me know how to show that love. Because my grandmother showed me that love. Although me never get it from my birth mother, my grandmother show it to me. So me know about love and the love that I should be sharing with my children them. Yeah, but I just think that the bond between mother and child was broken when she left us in Jamaica. I think that's what happened.